Alright, so here we are. It's time to sew in everything onto the head. So I'm going to begin with the eyes. First, I'm just going to position them here to see how they look. And I want my eyes to have a space between them. Also a space between the eye and the lip. Okay, so not directly on it like that, just one row spacing like that. So next I'm going to thread the tail into a yarn needle, and I'm going to begin sewing it in. And I'm just going to then I'm going to poke my needle into a stitch in the head like this and pull through. That'll be our first stitch. Then I'm going to take my needle, stick it through the top of my stitch here, and poke it through to the head like that, and have it come out of the stitch in the head like this. Like that. Okay, I'm going to do the same for the next one here. Okay, I'm just going to continue sewing the eye just in this fashion, sticking my needle through the stitch of the eye and sticking it through a hole in the head. Okay, and I will continue doing this until I finish both eyes, and I will meet you back here at the end. Alright, so here I am. I finished my first eye. What I'm going to do, just to finish it off, I'm going to poke my needle back in here, and I'm just going to poke it randomly through the head here like this. Okay, then all I'm going to do is poke it through the top here again. Make sure you stick your needle back into the same hole that it came out of, as to not leave a stitch of white here. Poke it through like that, and we're going to do it one more time. Just stick it through the head and pull. Okay, like that. Now we're going to cut the yarn and just stick it in the head here. Okay, so we're going to do the same thing with the other eye, and I'll meet you back here. Okay. So now the next part is to sew on the ears. So take your ear and find a good spot that you want to sew it on. Okay, so I think I want my ears to look like this. So to take the first ear, I'm going to take our tail and weave it through the yarn needle here, and because I want my ears to be this way, right there, about here, I'm going to start by inserting my hook into the head here and pulling it through. So it's going to be very similar to the eyes and for the ears, because we're going to sew the entire ear all the way around. So we're not going to just sew it flat like this against the head. We're going to sew it all the way around, just like how we did the eyes. Okay, so here's my first stitch. Going to take my ear, insert it again into the head, pull out Take my needle, insert it to the stitch, insert it into the head, find a hole, and pull it through like that. Okay, and we're going to do it all the way around like this. Alright. And when we finish, so when we get to the end here, we're going to do the same things as we did with the eye. Okay, we're going to stick it in, find a spot somewhere in the head, pull it through, stick it back in that same hole here, and then stick the needle somewhere in one of these stitches here, pull it through, and then stick it back in another different stitch through the head, pull it through somewhere in the head here, and cut it off and fasten it, and that'll secure it so that it doesn't become undone. Okay, so we're going to do that for both ears, and I will meet you when that is complete. Okay, so here we finished the ears. Okay, and now we're going to sew on the carrot to the hand. So to begin, cut a piece of yarn that's the same color as your body of your rabbit, and thread it through the yarn needle. Next, determine where you want your carrot to be. Okay, I want mine to look like this, to be here. And take your first finger, take your needle, stick it through the back, pull it through. Okay, not all the way through, we want a little bit of a tail here so that we can sew it in after. So next, determine where you want your next finger to be. I want my finger to be here. Okay, so I'm going to take my needle, I'm going to stick it through where this first finger will lie. So it's going to lie about here in the carrot. Stick it through all the way to where the next finger will be. Stick it through that finger like this. Pull. Okay, like this. This will look like this, but again, I'm going to take this other tail later on and just sew it in afterwards. Okay, now determine where your next finger is going to be. Mine's going to be about here. Okay, so I'm going to take my needle, stick it through the next stitch, or a stitch beside where it came out of, so right here. Okay, and stick it through the carrot into one of the holes here. Pull it and pull it through like that. Then you're going to stick it through the same hole that it came out of. Okay, and into the back where this third finger will lie, and you want to stick it through the third finger like this. Okay, like that. Next, we want to do similar thing. So for our last finger, determine where it's going to lie. It's going to be about here. Again, stick the needle through a different stitch next to the one where it came out of. Okay, so stick your needle through a different one beside it, poke it through all the way to the end, pull. Like that. And then we're going to stick it through the same hole that we came out of, and back into the back here, and through this final finger. Like this. Okay, Then we're going to stick it through a hole that's next to the one where it came out of. Okay, and somewhere, and then stick it behind the carrot in here, like this, and pull. Okay, now go back to your first finger and weave it through your needle. Okay, and we're going to stick it through a hole next to the one where it came out of in the hand, in the finger. Poke it through somewhere in the opposite, somewhere through the carrot. Pull. That'll secure that better. Now stick it through the same hole that it came out of, and try and stick it through the same hole as we have this and the other tail coming out of here. So find that other tail like this, stick it through like that. See, so now we have both ends coming out of one hole. What we're going to do is do a little knot. Okay, just tie it up there. I like to double knot them. Okay, and we will cut it. Like this. Take your needle and just stick it through the hole. Like that. So it doesn't show. And now we have the rabbit holding the carrot. Okay? So now the last part is to do the tail. Okay, so for the last part here, we're going to make the tail of the bunny. So take your white yarn, the same that you made with the eyes with, and take a fork, okay, and you're just going to begin wrapping it around like so. I'm just going to wrap it around the first three, but you can wrap it around how many you like. Okay, and okay, so that seems good. Now what we're going to do is that we're going to take gray thread, or the same thread that we used for the body of the rabbit, tie it around
the tail here, so just like this. Okay, like this. We'll tie it once, really tightly, and then to secure it one more time, tie it again, take it off, and really tighten this part here. Okay, so I'm going to fix it so that it's aligned in the middle here. And I'm going to really tighten it, so just like this. Okay. I'm going to double knot it. And I'm going to do it again. Let's turn it around. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to just wrap it around once, so like this, so that I could tie it one more time really tightly, like that. And again, double knot it. Okay? Now, what I'm going to do
is take my scissors, and here we have all these loops here. I'm just going to cut the loops.
Okay, let's cut the loops, like so. Do the same on the other side. And just
cut all the loops apart. Okay, now fluff it up a bit, and here we have our pom-pom tail. Okay, so you could also get an actual pom-pom and just glue it on or sew it on, but if you don't have one, here's an easy way to just make your own. Okay, now we are going to just take the bottom of the rabbit, find out where you want to stick the tail, okay, and just take our string here, the gray tails, and just sew it into the bottom here of our rabbit with your needle. So you're just going to sew it in to the bottom here. Okay, so what I'm going to be doing is that I'm not going to sew this one on because I'm going to be using a store-bought pom-pom and gluing it onto here. Okay, but this way or a store-bought pom-pom, either way works for the tail. Okay, so here we are, we finished the bunny. Okay, and at the end here I glued on a pom-pom for its tail. You might notice that the legs and the arms might twist a little bit, so just put it into a book and have the weight flatten it out, and it should be okay afterwards. Thanks for watching, and if you like this video, check out my channels for other videos and subscribe.